Get out. Mom left this house to me. Amanda's voice echoed through our mother's Victorian home, her perfectly manicured nails clutching what looked like legal documents. The Thanksgiving turkey sat forgotten on the dining table as my sister's tantrum reached new heights. My name is Emily, and at 35, I was watching my younger sister try to claim our mother's house. The same house I'd been maintaining and caring for since Mom's passing 3 months ago. These papers prove it. Amanda waved the documents frantically. Mom signed everything over to me before she died. You need to pack your things and leave. I took a slow sip of wine, my calmness clearly irritating her further. Have you actually read those papers, Amanda? Check the dates, perhaps. Her husband Mark shifted uncomfortably in his chair while their teenage kids stared at their plates, embarrassed by their mother's outburst. Our Aunt Susan, who'd been quietly observing, reached for her reading glasses. Of course I've read them. Amanda snapped, but I noticed a flicker of uncertainty cross her face. Mom knew I needed this house more than you. You're single. You live alone. I have a family. Yes, a family that hadn't visited Mom once during her 8-month battle with cancer. A family that was too busy with their country club memberships and social obligations to help with hospital visits or medication schedules. You mean the family that couldn't make time to see Mom during chemo? I kept my voice level. Years of dealing with Amanda's dramatics had taught me patience. The family that was too busy to help when she needed someone to drive her to radiation therapy. That's not fair. Amanda's voice cracked. We were going through things. Mark's promotion, the kids' activities. I stood up, walking to the antique secretary desk in the corner. The same desk where I'd spent countless evenings helping Mom organize her paperwork during her final months. Opening the top drawer, I pulled out a blue folder. You know what's not fair, Amanda? Showing up 3 months after Mom's funeral, waving around outdated papers, and trying to claim the house that I've been taking care of for the past year. Aunt Susan cleared her throat. Amanda dear, when exactly did your mother supposedly sign these papers? Amanda glanced at the documents. January 15th, she said triumphantly. Mom signed everything over to me then. Interesting, I said, opening my folder. Because I have here the actual deed transfer, signed and notarized on May 3rd, just 2 weeks before Mom passed. And look whose name is on it. The color drained from Amanda's face as I laid out the papers. There it was in black and white. Mom had left the house to me. The documents Amanda held were indeed real, but they'd been superseded by Mom's final decision. But why? Amanda's voice was small now, her earlier confidence evaporating. She always said family comes first. I have children. Yes, she did say family comes first. I agreed. Which is why she chose to leave the house to the daughter who actually put family first. The one who took a leave of absence from work to care for her. The one who was here, every day, making sure she wasn't alone. Mark stood up, placing a hand on Amanda's shoulder. Come on, honey, we should go. But Amanda wasn't finished. She turned to our aunt, eyes pleading. Susan, this isn't right. You know Mom would have wanted the house to stay in the family, to be filled with grandchildren. Aunt Susan adjusted her glasses, looking at Amanda with a mixture of disappointment and pity. Your mother made her wishes very clear, Amanda. She told me about her decision before she passed. She wanted the house to go to someone who would love it and care for it the way she did. Someone who understood its value beyond its price tag. The truth was, Mom had agonized over her decision. She'd shown me the January papers, the ones she'd signed when Amanda had pressured her during an especially vulnerable moment. But as her illness progressed, as she watched who showed up and who didn't, she made her choice. You can't just throw us out. Amanda's voice rose again, but this time it held a note of desperation. Where are we supposed to go for family gatherings, holidays? I couldn't help but laugh. Family gatherings? Like the ones you've missed for the past 5 years? The empty chair at Christmas dinner? The unopened birthday gifts Mom kept sending to the kids? The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda's children looked up from their plates, confusion and hurt in their eyes. Perhaps they were just realizing how much of their grandmother's life they'd missed. The house stays with me, I said firmly, just as Mom wanted. You're welcome to visit, if you can find the time in your busy schedule. But this is my home now. Amanda grabbed her designer purse, tears streaming down her face. This isn't over, she hissed, storming toward the door. Mark and the kids followed quietly, leaving their Thanksgiving dinner untouched. Aunt Susan waited until we heard their car pull away before speaking. Your mother would be proud of you, Emily. You stood your ground just like she taught you. I looked around the dining room at the familiar wallpaper Mom had chosen, the family photos she'd carefully arranged, the china cabinet full of memories. This house wasn't just property to me, it was home. And I intended to keep it that way. Little did Amanda know, this was just the beginning. Mom had left more than just the house in my care, and my sister's attempt to claim what wasn't hers would lead to revelations she never saw coming. The days following the Thanksgiving disaster were surprisingly quiet, too quiet. Anyone who knew Amanda knew this wasn't the end. She never accepted defeat gracefully. I was right. A week later, while sorting through Mom's old recipes in the kitchen, I heard a commotion outside. Through the window, I watched in disbelief as a moving truck pulled into the driveway. Amanda stepped out of her SUV, directing two movers toward the house. Before they could reach the porch, I opened the front door. "What do you think you're doing?" "Moving in," Amanda announced, rushing past me with a box. "Mom's will might give you the house. But it doesn't say I can't live here. Family property, remember." I blocked her path. "Actually, it does. The deed is in my name, Amanda. This is private property and you're trespassing." She laughed, that condescending sound I'd heard throughout our childhood. "Oh, Emily, always so dramatic. I've already spoken to my lawyer. You can't prevent family from accessing their ancestral home." Ancestral home. I couldn't help but scoff. Mom and Dad bought this house in 1985. And your lawyer might want to check again because I have a restraining order being processed as we speak. That stopped her. "You're getting a restraining order against your own sister?" "No, I'm protecting my property from someone who's trying to forcefully occupy it." I pulled out my phone, showing her the email from my lawyer. "After your little stunt at Thanksgiving, I took precautions." The movers, sensing tension, slowly backed away toward their truck. Amanda's face flushed red with anger. "You wouldn't dare." "What about my children?" "Their memories of their grandmother." Memories? I felt years of pent-up frustration bubble to the surface. Where were these precious memories when Mom was alive? When she sat alone every Sunday, waiting for a call that never came. When she kept asking me why her grandchildren never visited. Amanda flinched. "We were busy." "You were selfish," I corrected. "And now you think you can just move in because your country club membership and designer shopping sprees have left you struggling with mortgage payments." Her eyes widened. "How did you?" "Mom told me everything, Amanda. Those late-night calls begging for loans, the money she kept sending you for the kids' education that somehow always went to your credit card bills instead." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small key. "You want to know what else Mom left me besides the house?" The key to her safety deposit box. The one containing records of every penny she ever lent you. Amanda's perfectly maintained facade cracked. "Those were gifts," she whispered. "Mom said they were gifts." "No, they were loans. Documented, signed loans that you promised to repay. Over $200,000 worth." I watched her face pale. Mom never intended to collect, of course. She just wanted to help you. But she kept the records to protect me, knowing you might try something like this after she was gone. The moving truck started its engine, clearly wanting no part of this family drama. Amanda's hands trembled as she set down the box she'd been holding. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice small. "We're sisters." "Yes, we are. Which is why I'm giving you a choice." I crossed my arms. "You can leave now, respect Mom's wishes, and we'll forget about the loans. Or you can continue this fight, and I'll have my lawyer start proceedings to collect every cent you owe." "You wouldn't." "Try me." I met her gaze steadily. "Mom spent years protecting you, covering for you, making excuses for your absence. I'm not Mom." Amanda's lips quivered. For a moment, I saw a glimpse of the little sister I used to know before status and appearances became her whole world. "The country club board," she started. "Doesn't need to know about any of this," I finished, "unless you force my hand." She stood there for a long moment, designer purse clutched to her chest, looking lost in the house she'd ignored for so many years. Finally, she nodded. "I'll tell the movers to leave." "Good choice." As Amanda walked back to her SUV, she paused. "Emily, those Christmas gifts Mom sent the kids, do you still have them?" "In the attic. Every one she ever sent, wrapped and labeled with their names and dates." A tear rolled down her cheek. Could I have them? To give to the kids, they should know their grandmother thought of them. I considered her request. Come by next weekend, bring the kids. We'll go through them together and maybe look at some photo albums. Mom would have liked that. Amanda nodded again, this time with what looked like genuine gratitude. As I watched her drive away, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Maybe there was hope for healing after all. But first, she needed to understand that the old dynamic, where she took and I gave, was over. Mom had taught me one final lesson through her careful documentation and planned inheritance. Sometimes love means setting firm boundaries. I closed the front door and leaned against it, looking at the familiar walls, the photos, the memories. I'm doing the right thing, right, Mom? I whispered. A warm breeze rustled the curtains, carrying the scent of Mom's roses from the garden. I smiled, knowing she would have approved. 6 months after the moving truck incident, I sat in Mom's garden. My garden now, watching Amanda's kids help me plant new rose bushes. The transformation in our relationship hadn't been instant or easy, but it had begun that day when boundaries were finally set. Aunt Emily, Sophie, Amanda's 13-year-old, called out. I found another one of Grandma's garden markers. She held up a weathered plant stake with Mom's neat handwriting. Peace Rose, planted with love, spring 2018. The weekly visits had started small. Amanda brought the kids to collect their long-delayed Christmas gifts, each present opening accompanied by stories about their grandmother. Then Sophie discovered Mom's gardening journal and something clicked. Did Grandma really plant all these flowers herself? Jason, her 15-year-old brother, asked, carefully digging around an established rosebush. Every single one, I replied. She used to say that gardens, like families, need constant care and attention to thrive. The irony of that statement wasn't lost on Amanda, who sat on the porch watching us work. She changed over these months, the designer clothes less frequent, the country club mentions rare. Last week, she'd even helped clean out Mom's old greenhouse, getting dirt under her manicured nails without a single complaint. Mom would love this, she said softly, joining us in the garden. All of us here, taking care of her roses. I nodded, remembering how Mom used to look up this window, hoping to see her grandchildren playing in the yard. She always kept your old gardening tools, I told her. The little red wheelbarrow from when you were 10? It's still in the shed. Amanda's eyes welled up. I remember that. Dad bought it for me when Mom first taught us about planting seeds. She laughed suddenly. Remember how competitive we were? Each trying to grow the tallest sunflower. You always won, I reminded her, until Mom caught you sneaking plant food from her special supply. The kids looked up, interested. Mom cheated at gardening? Sophie asked, giggling. Your mother, I said, winking at Amanda, was very determined to win. Some things never change. But some things do change. Last month, when Amanda's husband Mark lost his job in a corporate downsizing, she didn't come begging for money. Instead, she asked if she could help me organize Mom's extensive library of gardening books, offering to catalog them for local gardening groups to reference. Emily, Amanda said now, brushing dirt from her jeans. Another new development. I've been thinking about what Mom always said about this place being a family home. I tensed slightly. Old habits die hard. Not like that, she added quickly, seeing my expression. I mean, what if we started having regular family dinners here again? Not just holidays, but weekly gatherings, like when we were kids. I studied my sister's face, seeing genuine hope there. You'd make the time. We've been making time for the wrong things for too long, she admitted. The kids, they deserve to know this place, to have memories here like we did. Sophie looked up from her planting. Could we help with the garden every week? Grandma's journal has all these plans for different seasons. And maybe we could fix up the old treehouse. Jason added. The one you and Mom told us about. I felt tears prick my eyes. This was what Mom had wanted all along, not just preserving the house, but preserving the family within it. Every Sunday, I said finally, but you have to promise to actually show up. Amanda reached over and squeezed my hand. We promise. No more excuses. Later that evening, after Amanda and the kids had gone home, I found myself in Mom's study. The room still smelled faintly of her perfume, and sometimes I swore I could hear her humming as she worked on her garden plans. I opened her gardening journal, smiling at the neat rows of planting schedules and care instructions. But it was the last entry that caught my eye, dated just weeks before she passed. My dear Emily, I'm leaving you more than just a house. I'm leaving you the heart of our family, Amanda will fight it at first, she always does. But like the stubborn roses that bloom after winter, she'll come around. Just give her time to grow. Love, Mom. I closed the journal, walking to the window that overlooked the garden. The new roses we'd planted were already settling in, their leaves reaching toward the setting sun. In the falling dusk, I could see the ghost of two little girls running through the flower beds, their laughter echoing across the years. Mom had been right. Sometimes the most precious inheritances aren't the ones written in legal documents or locked in safety deposit boxes. They're the ones that grow slowly, carefully tended, until they bloom into something beautiful. Amanda and the kids would be back next Sunday and the Sunday after that. The house would fill again with family dinners, garden projects, and new memories. It wasn't perfect. Families never are, but it was growing. And that, I knew, would have made Mom prouder than any rose she ever grew.